Civil servants in Zimbabwe have refused the government's 100% salary increment offer, citing several reasons. The Zimbabwe Confederation of Public Sector Trade Unions President Cecilia Alexander on Friday said the National Joint Negotiating Council (NJNC) meeting failed as the unions did not sign any agreement.
Well, Alexander accused the Public Service Commission (PSC) of preempting information that was not yet agreed upon between the government and also the workers. Now, she alleged that some government sectors got their increment in February. This includes the defense and also the home affairs, while some are now getting theirs in April. Also adding that the effective date where other sectors got a salary increase 2 months earlier and other civil servants have no inflation-adjusted salary components. Well, joining us now is President Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. He's joining us via the phone. Govt Masasurari, I hope I got that name correctly. Thank you so much for being here this morning, Govt.
Thanks for having me. Yes, indeed, you got it correctly.
Great, great. How do they say good morning, first of all, from where you're from?
Mamuka say.
So I hope you got that.
No, I didn't. All right, we're going to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Let's go into the discussion right now. Now, first off, what are the civil servants asking for with this rejection of a salary increase? I mean, they've seen 100%, but yet they are not taking it.
Yeah, I think let me just make you understand the context where we are working in. We are in a context where government initially slashed the salaries for civil servants in 2018, where the ordinary civil servant was earning around 540 United States dollars, and it was slashed to around 50 US dollars, 30 to 50 US dollars. So for years, there has been a fight to say we want the restoration of our pre-October 2018 salaries. But then unfortunately, the government has been refusing to honor that obligation of paying a living wage. But also the cost of living has always been rising. Now, when government is speaking to 100% increase of the salaries today, what they are increasing is they are increasing our salaries in the local currency. But the Zimbabwean economy is already dollarized, where all transactions are being done in United States dollars. So you find government selling its services in United States dollars, but they want to pay their own workers in the local currency. So they will tell you that they've increased salaries by 100%. So for example, if it's transport allowance, someone will, in US dollar terms, someone will now be earning maybe something like 10 US dollars. But transport for a month for a civil servant is around 20 US dollars. Accommodation, they will tell you they've increased it by 100%, but someone is still earning around 11 US dollars. But accommodation, someone needs up to 200 US dollars. So the civil servants in Zimbabwe are making clear demands. The first demand is that they want their salaries in United States dollars. Then the second demand is that those salaries should also match the basket of needs in Zimbabwe. It is being calculated by estimates, by experts, that at the moment the basket of needs is already short above 1,500 United States dollars in Zimbabwe. But at the moment, the civil servants are earning, if we calculate everything, including the USD component, which the civil servants are earning, and the 100% increment, the civil servants are now earning around United States dollars 340, which is way, way below the basket of needs of the families. But lastly, there's another clear demand of the structure of negotiations, the structure of collective bargaining, where the government want to unilaterally impose increments on the worker side without going through the process of collective bargaining. Our constitution clearly defines how collective bargaining should be done. Section 203 of the constitution will give the Public Service Commission power to fix conditions of services, but after going through collective bargaining with the worker side as defined in Section 65 of the Constitution. This is not being done. We have a government which is acting like some slave master who try to act out of benevolence and announce increments without going through the rigorous process of engaging with the worker side. So we have a challenge that the worker side also, at the end of the day, in the government, we don't have a legal framework born out of the new constitutional reality, which then brings both the parties together. We are still using an archaic law where the government only consults but does not go through collective bargaining. And unfortunately, because of that crisis, we will never have a consensus between the government and the worker side until and upon a time where the government managed to come up with a legal framework which really puts in place the institution for collective bargaining.
All right, Albert, Can you share with us what you would describe as a a figure that you think not South African, Zimbabwean workers will be more comfortable with? What is the minimum wage that you think that they will be more comfortable with, that maybe would be accepted? And unfortunately now, well, in US dollars, not in Zimbabwean currency. What is the figure that you think will be better? And also, President Emerson Mnangagwa, do you think he's being dishonest with the people?
Yeah, the figure, we've done our calculations looking at rentals, food, the basics it's 1,260 United States dollars. That would suffice to cover for a family of 5, including their health care, their education, their food, their accommodation, with no savings. So at the moment, we are comfortable with working without saving. But
you're talking about $1,200 every month.
Every month, yeah.
Okay.
Because of the cost of living in Zimbabwe. You understand that the cost of living in Zimbabwe is 50% higher than the cost of living in South Africa. The figures, but if you go to the least paid teacher in South Africa, where the cost of living is lower, they will get something around 1,500 US dollars. So what we are asking for is even less than the cost of living. But we are saying this is a compromise which can enable us to go to work on a daily basis. But obviously, on the sincerity of the President, Emerson Mnangagwa, there is a Word document that has been produced by Al Jazeera named the Gold Mafia, where he is fingered to be involved in some corrupt activities in money laundering, corruption involving illicit flow of our gold. So at the end of the day, when the war head of state is fingered to be part of a network of a cabal of criminals, then we doubt whatever, if ever he is going to be able to protect the interests of the majority of the people, or he's going to protect the interests of the cabal he works with. So we are told that we are losing billions of resources. We are now told in our gold, we have lithium right now. We are told there's a ban of export of lithium. But you go to the ground, you see people linked, people who are politically exposed are exporting our raw lithium without processing. We see how we lost diamond. The former president, Emerson Robert Mugabe, said we lost 15 billion US dollars of their diamond revenue. But still, the leakages are still there. We are still losing our diamond. So then we also are told that land which was in the hands of is being transferred, some of it to people from Belarus president, who has received over 540,000 hectares of our land, 540 hectares of our land, 1,000 hectares of our land at some point, and other foreigners getting our land, and our people are being displaced. So at the end of the day, when we thought that the ruling ZANU-PF party, he had an ideology of serving the people, he had an ideology of promoting the indigenization policy with regard to economic emancipation. We now realize that our nation is now being sold to foreigners, and the ordinary people in Zimbabwe don't have access to health care, access to education, they don't have access to the basics. You know that at the moment, only 30% of our children have managed to register for public examinations. The majority of them can't afford even to pay, including teachers can't afford to pay examination fees for their own children. At the schools where they teach, their own children can't write public examinations because the money is beyond them. So at the end of the day, we have an economy serving a few, not the many, and the many are in trouble.
That's all.
Wow, that's a whole lot of conversation that we've had so far, so good concerning this. Hopefully, there would be an agreement that will be reached anytime soon, and when that's done, we look forward to have you join us again, Mr. Albert. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you.
Thanks for hosting us. Much appreciated. Good
All
day.
right.